Marla, quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Bill Levy, how do I get to Bill Levy? Is that going to be is he recording?
It looks like Bill will log in.
What? Okay, very good.
He
So I'll
will
spotlight
come.
him.
Sorry, say that again.
I'll spotlight him then.
Yes,
He'll be a
when it's
participant.
that's correct. When it's his turn, we're going to go ahead and spotlight him. That's correct.
Very good. Thank you.
You got it. Not to worry. We've got this. It's going to be a wonderful morning. I know everyone's just a little bit nervous, but we've got this. We're going to trust in one another. Everything will be fantastic, and we can focus on Stephen in just a few moments.
That's casual, yeah. Okay, now put on my thumbs up. They're out there, what's going on? I just put mine over. You all excited to see you? Nervous? Yeah. That's super silly, and you know what? Nobody will help you about it. That's right. There's nobody here that will know. That's right. Well, they'll know, but they just won't snip it. You're right. We won't know. No, but other people at home, we won't know that. Will she ever get on YouTube? No. Like the high holidays and
Shabbat Shalom, friends. Welcome. We're so glad to have all of you here with us this Shabbat, the third Shabbat in the Hebrew month of Teshuvah. And of course, as you probably already know, the Shabbat on which we call Stephen Hirsch to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. Stephen, we're thrilled to share today with you and with your family. We're thrilled to have some of your family and friends here with us in the sanctuary. And we're thrilled to have those of you who are watching through the miracle of the internet to join with us in this Shabbat morning worship. Just a couple of announcements and technical things. First of all, we ask that those of you here in the sanctuary remain masked throughout the service, and please stay in your pod. Feel free to read along and join in the service. There'll be parts that we read together, and I encourage you to do so. I'm going to ask you to do something that I find difficult but manage to do it anyway, and that is to refrain from singing. We often, in the course of worship, are tempted to sing along because that's, after all, how we worship. But in this case, we're going to rely on our music director to lead all the singing. And if you have to do something, you can hum, because humming doesn't produce the same kind of spray, as we say.
Somehow it logged me off.
Washrooms, you can go right down the hall and the ushers will direct you. Those of you who have reading parts or audios from the congregation will come to this with lectern here on the floor at the appropriate time. In general, here at Temple Beth Israel, we use the even numbered pages and skip the odd numbered pages. If it's different than that, I'll announce it so you know where we are as we go along. Our service begins on page 74 in the Blue Prayer Book, and we begin with the singing of Ma Tovu.
Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishkenutecha Yisrael. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov mishkenutecha Israel.
We continue on page 75. Starting in top. May the One whose Spirit is with us in every righteous deed, we will call to work for the good of humanity, and bear the burdens of others, and to give bread to the hungry, and clothe the naked, and take the friendless into the home. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest. We continue now on page 106.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash miraba Yalma divrach ruti v'yamlich malchuti v'chayichon uv'yom echon uv'chayid chol beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'l'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitmar v'ynasi v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemid kodesha berichu leila min kol berchato v'shirato Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen.
We continue on page 108 with Baruchu. Rise and turn towards Jerusalem.
Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Yai la 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 Barechu et Adonai Hamivorach Baruch Adonai Hamivorach Hamivorach Le'olam va'ed Hamivorach Le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 110. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or u'roeh choshen, עושה שלום ומורה את הכל, המאיר לארץ ולדרים עליה ברחמים, וכתובו מחדש בכל יום תמיד מעשה בראשית. מה רבו מעשיך אדוני, כולם בחוכמה עשית, מלאה הארץ ענייניך. יתברך אדוני אלוהינו על שבח מעשה ידיך, ועל נעורי אור שעשית יתפארו חסרה. אור חדש על ציון צעיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לעולו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion, on account of our forebears whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to read, to learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. We continue together. Gather us in peace in the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly, you drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Baruch atah Adonai, and declare that Amon Yisrael, Yahweh.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Avad. Ve'ahavta it Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 120. For us, this eternal teaching is true and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good and beautiful. God of the universe is truly our sovereign, Rock of Jacob, our protecting shield. God endures through all generations. God's name persists, God's throne is firm. God's sovereignty and faithfulness last forever. God's words live and endure, faithful and precious for eternity. Together, in Egypt you redeemed us, freeing us from bondage. For that your beloved sang praise, exalting you, Your dear ones offered hymns, songs, praise, blessing, and thanksgiving to you as sovereign, delivering and enduring God, high and exalted, great and awesome. God ever humbles the proud, raises the lowly, frees the imprisoned, redeems the afflicted, helps the oppressed, answering our people when we cry out. Praise the God most high. Blessed is God who deserving of blessing. In great joy, Moses, Miriam, and Israel responded with song to you, all of them proclaiming.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא דילות אוסף Noradilot osef Adonai imloch leolam vaed Shira chadasha shibchu geulim לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובדכן ומך יהודה וישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
We continue now on page 126 with the tefillah. We rise and turn towards Jerusalem.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקוני הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחי, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחי הכל. נקדיש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, kadosh, kadosh, Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kivodo. Adir, adirenu Adonai, Adonenu, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch kivod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshi'enu, ve'hu Yashmi'enu, berachamav le'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Tzion, lidor v'ador. Hallelujah. Lidor v'ador nagid godlecha, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם אבד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Continue on page 134.
Eloheinu, ve'Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, retziv imnuchatenu, kachinu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkenu v'toratecha, sabinu mituvecha, v'samchinu b'shuatecha, v'taher libenu le'ovdecha be'emet, v'anchilinu Adonai Eloheinu b'ahava uvratzon, Shabbat kodshecha, v'anuchu v'Yisrael mekadshi shemecha. Baruch ata Adonai mekadish Shabbat.
Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer and love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your Spirit upon us. Let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamachazir Shekinato Yitziyah. We continue together on page 138. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives, and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you, for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O Solomon, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name the truth. Baruch atah Adonai, atod shimcha, v'lachana Elohim.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. v'chesed, chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Chen v'chesed, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, v'rachamim. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amecha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Ose shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Ose shalom, shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen. V'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen.
We turn in our prayer books now to page 245 as we continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah, page 245.
Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in their cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai, your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children, who do not know yet, hear, that they, too, may learn to revere Adonai, your God.
Page 246.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim, sehu sheharim rashechem, Usehu Yitrei Olam, Ve'yavo Melech HaKavod. Mi'u ze Melech HaKavod, Adonai Tzvaot, Hu Melech HaKavod. Sehu
Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai. So the Mishnah teaches us that Moses received Torah at Sinai. And then he passed it on to Joshua. And Joshua in turn gave it to the judges, and the judges taught it to the prophets, and the prophets preached it to the elders. And so it was transmitted down from generation to generation as a precious heritage, from master to disciple, from teacher to student, from parents to children. And so today, we add yet one more link in that ongoing chain of tradition.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's lives, from Sinai until now. Its teachings is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amu Yisrael b'kiddushato. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, uneromema Shemo yachtav, Lecha Adonai Agdula, והגבורה והתפארת והניצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כי כל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה ועמיד נעשי לכל ראש.
The Torah portion for this Shabbat is Parashat Vayera. We're going to be reading from the end of the parasha, from chapter 22 of the book of Genesis, which contains in it the rather famous story known as Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac. If you are near a copy of the Red Torah commentary and would like to follow the reading, we'll begin on page 146 at the beginning of chapter 22. For the first Aliyah, we call for the reading of the Torah our Director of Congregational Learning, Lori Sagrin, and for the Aliyah, we're going to call on Stephen's grandfather, Fred Balfour. We also have hoped to include Stephen's grandmother, Linda Balfour. Unfortunately, illness is keeping her from participating in the Aliyah, but we know, Linda, you're with us in spirit and watching us, and so we're glad that you're able to do that. So we call on לעמוד בקריאת התורה, לאהבת בת מיכאל ושרה, יעמוד שמעון בן מאיר ורבקה, עלייה ראשונה.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam bo'ed. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech olam. Asher bocha bonu mikol ha'amin. V'noten lanu et torato. Baruch ato Adonai noten haTorah.
ויהי אחד הדברים האלה, והאלוהים נישא את אברהם. ויאמר אליו אברהם, ויאמר הנני. ויאמר, קח נא את בנך, את יחידך, אשר אהבת, את יצחק. ולך לך אל הארץ המוריה, והעלהו שם לעולה, על אחד ההרים אשר אמר אליך. וישכום אברהם בבוקר, ויחדש את חמורו, ויקח את שני נעריו איתו, ואת יצחק בנו, ויקח עצי עולה, ויקום וילך אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים.
Fred, are you there for the second bracha? Can we go back to Fred for a minute? There's little technical difficulties. There he is. Fred, can you recite the second bracha now, please?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher notan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam notah b'dachenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshua. Now, for the honor of the second Aliyah, we call Stephen's great aunt and uncle, Debbie and Harvey Lazar. Yamod, Chaim ben Avram Masha, Tamod, Devar Lezer, Batisachar Yisara, Aliyah Shmiya.
Baruchu et Adonai hamvorach,
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Ha'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam v'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'ami, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. ביום השלישי, וישא אברהם את עיניו וירא את המקום מרחוק. ויאמר אברהם אל נעריו, שבו לכם פה עם החמור, ואני והנער נלכה עד כה, נשתחווה ונשובה עליכם. וקח אברהם את עצי העולם, וישם על יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshua. For the third Aliyah, we call Stephen's cousins, William John, Jennifer Dunn, and Allison Dunn. Yamod Zed Mordechai ben Yitzhak ve'Asya, Tamod Yozachana bat Altael Chaim Vivi, Tamod Alishamaya bat Zed Mordechai ben Yozachana, Aliyah Shlishi. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Ha'ed. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Ha'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'ami, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אביו, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים ואיה הסר לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לו הסר לעולה בני, וילכו שניהם יחדיו, ויבואו אל המקום אשר אמר לו האלוהים, ויבן שם אברהם את המזבח, ויערוך את העצים ויעקוד את יצחק בנו. וישם אותו על המזבח ממעל העצים, וישלח אברהם את ידו, ויקח את המאכלת וישחט את בנו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natah b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. For the the fourth Aliyah, we call Stephen's aunt and uncle Jamie and Ed Levine. Yamod Simcha ben Menachem b'Chana Tamod Yim Shinu bat Ruben Avraham b'Chana Leah Aliyah Yevit Baruch Amen. ויקרא אליו מלאך אדוני מן השמיים ויאמר אברהם אברהם ויאמר הנני ויאמר אל תשלח ידך להונאה ואל תעש לו מאומה כי אתה ידעתי כי ירא אלוהים אתה לא חשבת בי חייתי לחיים אני ויעשה אברהם וישא אברהם את עיניו וירא והנה עיל אחד נוסף לפניו וילך אברהם ויקח את העיל ויעלהו לעולם תחת בינו. Amen. For the fifth Aliyah, we call Stephen's older sister Lauren. Tamod Yoshena bat Mordechai Gabriel Udvora Aliyah Hamishit. Baruch Adonai Melech Leolam Moed. ויקרא אלוהים שם המקום ההוא אדוני יראה, אשר יאמר היום מחר אדוני יראה. ויקרא מלאך אדוני אל אברהם שנית מן השמיים ויאמר, בי נשבעתי נאום אדוני, יען אשר עשית את הדבר הזה, ולא חשבת את בנך את יחידך.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם אתה בטובנו. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Amen. For the sixth Aliyah, we call Stephen's parents, Deborah and Michael Hirsch. Yamod Mordechai Gabriel ben Ruben Avraham b'Chana Leah Tavod Tamod Devorah bat Shimon b'Leah Chava Aliyah Shishit. Baruch Adonai Baruch Adonai Baruch Adonai Amen. אברך והרבה את זרעך והשמיים ותחפור על שפת הים אשר על שפת הים. וירש זרעך את שאר אויביו, והתברכו בזרעך כל גויי הארץ. עקב אשר שמעתי בקולי. וישב אברהם אל נעריו, ויקומו וילכו יחדיו אל באר שבע. וישב אברהם בבאר שבע.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לך אמת העולם ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. In the midst of our joy of celebrating this Shabbat and our joy of learning from Torah, we take a moment now to acknowledge our awareness that there are some whose joy and whose celebration is diminished due to illness. We mention particularly Sheldon Cohen, Wayne Silverman, Terry Bellows, Alan Sporn, Andrew Bider, Yegoda Rushevich, Esther Mendelson, Francis Toro, Ronald James Sullivan, Dennis Gelbart, Cassandra Grady, Sima Kuczynski, Doris Gluckman, Karen Zandy, Jason Edward Zimmerman, Sandy Rubin, Jonathan Raven, Hannah Devorah Batita, Clayton Isbitz, Richard Aarons, Hannah Fagel Batienta, Asher Gedalia Ben Malka, Werner Hyman, Joe Levin, Shelley Stone, Scott Meyer, Linda Balfour. To these we add names of others of whom we know who are in need of healing, whether healing of body or healing of spirit, and we pray they will soon know they will full us now.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. מי שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We turn now to the reading of the Maftir portion, special portion at the end of the Torah reading. And today we have a special Maftir reading because we have a special Maftir reader, whom, as you know, was scheduled to have his bar mitzvah last May and had to be postponed because of the pandemic. So there's an ancient tradition in Jewish life that when a person is celebrating a simcha, it's considered to be that person's personal Yom Tov. So today is actually, Stephen, your personal festival, your personal holiday, which means that we will read a special maftir today, not the one for the regular maftir for this week, but the maftir that just happens to correspond to the day that Stephen would have been called to the Torah last May, the maftir from Parshat Kotai. So if you're following in the Torah commentary, we'll now be on page 970, reading the very end of the book of Leviticus. And for the maftir, we call the bar mitzvah Stephen Jacob Hurley. Yamod, the maftir, Shayakov Meir, Ben Mordechai Gabriel Dvorah, bar mitzvah.
Baruch Adonai Haborah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Ha'ed.
Baruch Adonai Haborah Leolam Ha'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chalav mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Yotei HaTorah.
Amen.
Ve'im ra'ov mit'ala Yishma aslo Kamishito Yosef Bara Yukom Asah Atechot Atson Kof Asher Yavor Seha Aseret Ha'aseri Yekir Kodesh Ladonai Lo Yevaker Utok Yorah Ve'am Bileni Ba'im Amar Binyani V'chayekuni U'yakero Yekir Kodesh Lo Adonai et Moshe Adonai Yisrael Behar Sinai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan לנו Torah emet v'hayei olam natan b'tonu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shukor. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואמותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את הבחור שי יעקב מאיר ומרדכי גבריאל ודבורה בר מצווה אשר עלה לתורה היום. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרהו ויצילהו מכל צרה וטובה ויחוננו נחלה. ישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיו. וישם בליבו אהבתו ויראתו ולעשות רצונו ולעובדו בלבב שלם כל הימים ונאמר אמן. מזל טוב.
Mazel tov. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, simen tov, Yeilanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Yeilanu, Yeilanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yeilanu, Yeilanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yeilanu, Yeilanu, Ulechol Yisrael.
Mazel tov. That's all, Snap.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה.
We turn now to the reading of the Haftarah, and because it's a special Yom Tov for Stephen, we also read a special Haftarah portion, that which corresponds to Parshat Vayikra. And in the Red Torah commentary, if you're following along, you can find that on page 1006. It's from chapters 16 and 17 of the writing of the prophet Jeremiah, who wants to inspire in the community to whom he preaches a sense of the value of trusting in the Lord, and says, blessed is the one who's trusting the Lord, who sees the Lord as a rock or stronghold of faith. Jeremiah chapter 16.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan b'kol ha'amim asher bahar b'nevi'im tovim v'divreihem ha'ne'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Elohei Torah u'Moshe Abdo Israel Amo Amen. sad day.
Amen.
Adonai, Uzi, Uzi, Bel, Sarah, Eleka, Elohim, Yavohu, Me'aseh Arts, Leomu, Sheker, Yukalu, Avotim, Heva, Le'utamo Ilu, Haya Aselo, Adam, Elohim, Lekema, Elohim, 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 Korea, Papa, Azo, Ori, Atlati, Elohim, Yatu, Kishmi, Adonai, Ata, Ibuja, Ibuja, Ba'it, Persia, 54, Shami, Aisha, Ayuwa, Iban, Okano, the Kapan, T4, the Pen, the Sultan, the Allah Shekan, Office, the Anar, all, the Lord Kalabako, the Lili, the Sedeka, the Ata, the Ushaka, Lava, the Ten, Ramuteka, Bahata, Behobelueka, Vishamatata, Ibeka, Ibeka, Asher, Yaka, Tila, Yukalantika, Eoyeka, the arts, Asher, the Yadahata, Hebrew, Letempeahi, Adorantika, Code, Omar, Adonai, Arun, Hadir, Asher, Itana, Padan, the son of Masan, Yobo, Uri, Adonai, Yasuribo, Yahaya, Kapapa, Baraba, the Lord, Ria, Keo, Toro, the Shapin, Yeru, Banibar, Eretz, Melcha, Melchizedek, Baruch, Kadir, Asher, Ita, Adonai, Yahaya, Adonai, Ita, Baruch, Adonai, oh, Baruch, Adonai, Elohim, Melcha, so for Elohim, the people for Adonai, Adonai, our nation say, come back in my name, so call them around, and they can say, Ahasara, 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 Bahayim, Ahaba, Azeh, Shenakatalani, Adonai, Kiki Shabu, Mikado, Kiki all also Adonai, and I can move God, whom our kingdom has, we far up to our people have, that we will but end, or if that's our life, we got it, Shashabah.
Well, it's been quite a year. And we're glad to have this opportunity to let you know how proud you and how much we love you. And it's not just the work that you put in to be ready for today, and the job that you do today. It's really, we're so proud of the manager you become. It's about your inquisitive nature and how you, that we want rooms inside of you. Whether it's taking apart the computer, putting it back together, seeing if it might work or might not work, scoring through medical books to look and learn about human anatomy, performing surgery on a bundle, or cooking beef bourguignon from scratch. The desire to explore the quest for knowledge is really incredible. Something to be admired. As trying as these days have been, difficult as this year has been, every challenge is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to face, overcome, grow, comes and pushes us beyond the comfort zone. Because our Torah reflects on what the Torah culture needs to do, and what we've learned from it. But really, as important as that is, this bar mitzvah and the challenges of this year, it's also taught you the points of perseverance. You continue commitment by studying and practicing as difficult as you can. In order to be prepared for today, it's something to be admired. You work so hard to put through all the challenges. When things became challenging, the only hope that you can take is perseverance and resilience and go forward and follow the whole way through your life. Facing adversary and pushing through when things become difficult helps shape you into knowing you're going to do.
Here we are, finally, 6 months later than the original plan. And I know this is not how we have pictured today. And although many of your friends and family aren't sitting here with us today, I know that they're all watching from afar here in their play. And we love you very much, and we could be your friends.
Friends, we turn back to our prayer books now, to page 256. Page 256, and as we prepare to return the Torah to the ark, let us pray.
Yahweh et Shem Adonai, He Gav Mo Lavato. Let us praise the name of Adonai, for God's name alone is exalted.
Hod aretz v'shamayim v'yorem keren le'amo tehila lechol chasidav livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
My Torah portion is called the Har Urukotai and is taken from the end of the book of Leviticus. The section that interests me the most was talking about the laws of the Sabbatical year, which occurs once every 7 years, and the Jubilee year, which occurs once every 50 years. God manifests to rest on the 7th day to celebrate Shabbat, and the Torah manifests similarly to rest on land every 7th day. The writings of God influence us. This is undeniable. For example, this quote from my portion, chapter 25, verse 10, "You shall hallow this evening. You shall proclaim release throughout this land and all its inhabitants." This book shows forgiveness. Everyone has to forgive. But here we are forgiving more. We are asking to be forgiven. The Israelites here are forgiving their slaves, and their slaves are accepting their forgiveness. Slaves were treated unfairly, and for you to still be able to forgive the person who enslaved you shows that accepting and giving forgiveness can apply to anyone in any situation. And that forgiveness can bring renewal to the land and all inhabitants. So it also teaches us that there are consequences for actions. Each has to take responsibility for what we do, which face consequences every day. For example, if you do not complete your homework, you will receive a bad grade. Consequences are important. The Torah gives us a set of morals, but is that enough to lead us to live a good life? Torah helps me understand the right actions that are obsolete in my everyday life to achieve my goals. But I still have to make the right decisions every day. Even now, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we're all having a new sense of importance and gratification of the work. Like the sabbatical and Jubilee, COVID-19 is rearing our sense of something important. When you took something like being with extended family for decades, we can now only enjoy the memories we have and plan more in the future. In preparing for my garment song, I've learned some important lessons before, which I already discussed. And I've also learned important lessons from various people who helped me along the way. I especially learned about both patience and disappointment. Since my father stopped the spiritual was supposed to be made and that had to be postponed because of my pandemic. Now I would like to thank people for still guiding and helping me. Mom and Dad, thank you for encouraging me to do my work, even when I didn't want to. You always support me and give me everything I need and almost everything I want. Lord, thank you for being a great older sister and setting me an example. I know that I can always look to you for guidance and support. Thanks to my extended family for sharing today with me and all other special occasions in my life. Rabbi Wonder, thank you for helping me with my God Torah and helping me interpret Torah. Thanks to Sherry Granite, my father and special tutor, for teaching me to read my portions and for being patient with me. Bill, my TBI mentor, thank you for spending time with me, helping me understand my portions and how it relates to my life. Thanks to my classmates and friends for having my back and then making my fun. Thank you to everyone here today, even in the midst of pandemic, still being here in my special day. Last but not least, I want you to invite you to join me to thank God for giving me a great life, for keeping me going, and for bringing me to this special day. Baruch atah Adonai, Adonai,
Shehecheyanu, V'kiyamanu,
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel tov, Stephen. We are all extremely proud of you and have watched as you have grown and matured over these past 6 months especially. You are now certainly a more grown up and mature person than you might have been had you been called to the Torah than you have. So there is kind of a silver lining there. And you've taught us some important lessons here, lessons that you've learned over this time about patience and about perseverance. You've also taught us a lesson that I think most teenagers don't necessarily ascribe to, or don't necessarily take into themselves the way that you have described it. That is about the way in which the lessons of God and the opportunities to see God's presence in our lives is manifest before us. Not everybody is aware of that, or not everybody is accepting that. So it's really quite inspiring that you should say that. You are actually echoing the words of Jeremiah in your house for them. He said, "By again, Hashem is gotten by the night. Blessed is the one whose faith is in God and who sees God as a stronghold before him." You are not the only one who has understood this sense of God's teachings empowering us and inspiring us. Even the words that you quoted from your Torah portion, proclaim liberty throughout the land to all its inhabitants, you may know those are the words inscribed also on the Liberty Bell in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. And it turns out that the people who founded our country, the United States of America, were also inspired by their faith in God and were inspired by the lessons of Torah that talk about liberty and responsibility. So all the way around, we have some powerful messages here that I think you have incorporated into your understanding of Torah and understanding of life. Your understanding of Torah doesn't just teach us wisdom and information. It teaches us the path on the way towards righteousness. All of that makes us very proud of you. Not just of what you've done, but you more of who you have become. And it also makes us exceedingly hopeful about the future. And so it's that sense of pride and hope that I combine together into the ancient words of priestly blessing. I'll ask your parents to stand, put their hands on your head. Together we say these words of blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May God's light shine on you and be gracious unto you. God's face always be turned towards you. And may you always be granted peace. Amen. All it's up to you. Don't go away. Because in celebration of this, your great day, we have some gifts to present to you. I'm happy to make presentations to you on behalf of our congregation and the sisterhood and brotherhood of our congregation. The first thing we have for you is a bar mitzvah certificate, which you have signed and your parents as well, and it indicates that you, Stephen Jacob Hirsch, have accepted the privileges and responsibilities of being a Jew, lifelong Torah study and keeping of mitzvot, Shabbat, holy day, and lifestyle observances, participation in the life of the synagogue, the Jewish community of Israel, dedication to Tikkun Olam, the perfection of our world. In addition to that, the congregation is presenting you with your very own copies of Mishkan HaNefesh, our holiday prayer book, which you'll be able to use next year and every year thereafter in celebrating the holidays. My sister is giving you a Kiddush cup, which I'm not giving you right now, but you'll be using it. It's over there on the stand. But I'm not asking to hold it up because it's great to say. You'll use it to lead Kiddush at the end of our services today. It's inscribed with the monogram on the gate. And Brotherhood of Temple is presenting you with a picture frame, also inscribed with your name and date. And holding that picture place until you have a chance to put your bar mitzvah photos in there, is a certificate indicating that Brotherhood has planted a tree in Israel in your honor of your bar mitzvah. Speaking of Israel, we also have 3 certificates for you, which are gift certificates, good towards a high school summer or semester trip to Israel. One from the Jewish United Front of Metropolitan Chicago, one from NIFTY, our North American Federation of Youth and National Reform Movement, and the third one from our own time event Israel. So we wish you mazel tov. Those certificates will help you have the opportunity to go and visit Israel. Okay. As we turn back to our prayer books now, and we turn to page 258, and we invite Bill Levy, who has been Stephen's TBI bar mitzvah, to read the prayer for our country on page 258.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and may our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
Amen. Continue on the next page for the prayer for the welfare of Israel. Avinu Shabbat Tzur Yisrael V'Go'elo, Barechet Medinat Yisrael Reshit Tzimchat Geulatenu, Agin Alea Ve'avot Chesdecha, Ufos Alea Suchat Shlomecha, Yishlach Ucha V'Amidcha, V'Yashea Sarea V'Yotzea, V'Tachnim V'Yitzah Tova Milofanecha, V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam V'Yeshveha, V'Nomar Amen. Now we turn to the bottom of page 282 to the continuing portion of our worship, page 282 for Aleinu. Let us rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Letaken Olam B'malchut Shaddai V'nemar V'haya Adonai L'melech Al Kol Haaretz Bayom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad Ushemo Echad.
Page 295. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. Zikronam Livracha. And more in the recent passing of our temple member, Shirley Shechtman, we reach out to her family with words of comfort and these words of prayer. O God, full of compassion, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence, and to Shirley Shechtman, our loved one who has entered eternity. Master of mercy, let her find refuge forever in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. The eternal God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. We call to mind also those whose yards are to observe on this Shabbat. Al Adams, Miranda Alonzo, David Apple, Norman Adams, Joseph Jerry Berman, Terry Berman, David Abel Chester, Ursula Buckman, Minnie Cohn, Simon Copper, Rose Fishman, Anna B. Dukes, Marsha O'Gale, Deborah Graham, Herman Green, Leonard Buckman, Walter C. Hill, Morton J. Israel, Bertha Israel, Paris Dragwan, Sandra Laxer, Abraham Levine, Ira C. Levine, Frank Levine, Rose Levine, Evelyn Levy, Rosalind H. Miller, Joseph Novak, Edith Harrison, Janet Lusker, Carl Rifle, Regina Salzberg, Terry Shafter, Ruth Schiff, Bertha Siegel, Samuel Summerfield, Ida Sternstein, William Stewart, Florence Teitelbaum, Rose Weissman, Anna Wilna, Lenny Winston, Paula Yellen, Meyer L. Young. To these less named, we add memories of dear ones not now mentioned by name, but cherished in their mourners' hearts, as all those who mourn now rise for God. Amen. Yehi Shemei Rav Barak Olam Olam Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitzvah 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 Shemei Yitzvah Yitzvah Elam Yitzvah 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 Ishtabata V'Mechamata V'Yiram Yamah V'Yiram Amen. Shalom Alaikum, Shemaya B'Chalim, Amen. Yahweh said, Amen. I say Shalom B'Maha, I say Shalom. Amen. Yahweh said, Amen.
V'imru, Amen. V'imru, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. I'll look up to Stephen, and we will conclude our worship this morning with Kiddush, which Marla will sing, but Stephen will help lead us by taking the Kiddush cup.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I want to say a special Shabbat Shalom to all those of you who have joined us through the live stream. Although we can't see you, we certainly do feel your presence and are touched and gratified that you were able to be with us. So we're going to close off live